Hi everyone, Omi from CodeLab here, and welcome back to the fourth video in our JavaScript series. This will actually be the first video on combining JavaScript with HTML and CSS in web development, and we'll be talking mostly about the DOM. So the DOM, which stands for the Document Object Model, is one of the most important concepts when it comes to making interactive websites. So inside of web development, obviously you have like your regular HTML, CSS that you code in, and normally your web pages are pretty much static. Once you write your HTML, it stays there. Nothing really changes besides maybe like small little CSS animations that you could potentially code in or write. But every single time that you run a program, that you run a website or like load a page up, that HTML and CSS code, it's actually parsed through, and the browser, like let's say Chrome, from that, it will create that document object model, or the DOM that I was just referencing. And the DOM is no more than a programming interface for modifying your HTML document. So you have all this HTML and CSS code. The DOM serves as a programming interface or an API that represents your page and allows you to call certain functions on it so that you can modify your document, quote unquote. And by document, I just mean like the actual code itself on your website. And this is how pages become so easily interactable, because JavaScript, you can call those functions to just change your HTML and CSS code on the fly, basically. Now, if we want to actually get into some coding here, so there's sort of a few different ways to actually embed JavaScript into your website. You can make it as its own file, but what we're going to do is we are just going to use the script tag inside of our head. So the script tag denotes that anything inside of this tag is JavaScript code, and you can attach it to the rest of your HTML code in however way that you would like. And what we're going to be doing is using this window.onload function. Now, no need to know how this works. This is a little bit confusing syntax. Basically, all that you need to know is that everything inside of this function block, all of this code will be automatically run as soon as the page first loads up, and it will never ever be ran again. Now, the main purpose of using this is just so that I can show you guys how to use the document object model and kind of give some proof that it actually exists, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable that's called heading, and this heading will just essentially represent like an h1 tag on the page. Now notice here, this body tag is empty, and as proof, if I go back to my browser, this new app file, there's nothing here on the page because the body tag is empty. There's nothing actually there. But I can use JavaScript to make my page interactable so that only on first load, some special little code runs, maybe leave people with a little surprise. So that document that I was mentioning before, I use the word document very specifically, and it's called the document object model because in JavaScript, there is literally a variable called document that provides you with all of these things right here that I'm currently scrolling through, that Visual Studio Code is letting me see. This is the entire API, okay? These are all of the different functions and variables that I have access to through the DOM, and that's why it's so impactful. Now, obviously, there's a ton here, and you are by no means expected to learn any of them in this bootcamp, but one that I just want to show you is called create element, and this lets you create an HTML element, pretty self-explanatory. And the parameter that you pass to it is the type of element that it is. So I want an h1 tag. Now this h1 tag is currently empty. Nothing will actually show up because there's no contents inside of it. So I can add some text to it. So I can say, let's create a text node, okay? And that text node, I can say like big head. Like that'll show that my h1 text has like some text that actually says big head. Now I have to do a few more function calls here with the document object model. Again, you don't have to know what these are. It's just kind of proof that you can modify the HTML document itself using the DOM. So I can do like heading.append child, and I can add the heading text. This, in case you're curious, basically just says that my h1 tag now has the contents of this text. It's sort of been added into it as a child of just like regular plain text. And then now, and this is the real big thing here, I can actually go into the body of my document. So all of like the raw HTML and CSS that's normally displayed like up on the screen, and I can add a child to it. So exact same function, append child. Basically, it just says now inside of my body tag will be this tag that I'm about to pass in. And I'm actually just going to pass in my heading variable right here. So I pass in heading, and now this heading variable will be appended to the bottom of my body. Now again, there's nothing in my body, but we'll notice that if we go back here and refresh, now big head suddenly comes up because when the page first loads, I told it, hey, I want to speak to the document object model who represents all of the HTML code, which is nothing right now inside of our body. And I want to create an H1 element. I want to give it some text. I want to attach that text to the H1 element, and then I want to attach that H1 element to the bottom of the body. And again, the body is what displays on the actual web page. Now, again, don't worry about grasping all of these functions or how they work. The point of this is just to show you guys that there is a document object model and that this is how interactive websites are created. So again, this is sort of the walkthrough of the DOM and interactive websites. In the next video, we'll go through how to actually make certain pieces interactable and go through a few of these useful functions that the DOM gives to us. Hopefully you guys found this video enjoyable and you were able to take some stuff out of it, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you.